welcome back. I haven't talked to you guys in so long. I know it's been a while, it's been about 2 years, but today we are going to make some really yummy basil pasta. So let's get cracking. So I'd like to talk about the oil that we're going to be using today. It's a basil olive oil from Mountain Town Olive Oil in Park City. It is amazing. It tastes so good. You can really taste the basil. So now we should get started on the pasta. First thing that we're going to do is chop up some fresh basil. So, I don't know, let's get some leaves. I don't know, maybe we can do, we just want to chop up the basil really fine to put into the dough. And then we are just going to make like a simple garlic, parmesan, and butter sauce. And it will be amazing. Because with like homemade pasta, you just don't really want anything taking over the pasta, because that's the star of the show. So something just simple like that is really good. But I think the basil pasta will be amazing. I haven't done it with basil. I've done it with truffle before, and then like a spicy pepper pasta, and those have been good. So I'm hoping that basil will be good too. Also, just comment down below what you want me to do next. I'd be happy to do it. I was thinking I could also make like some sourdough bread for the next one, because during the last couple of years in the pandemic and everything, I was making and selling homemade sourdough bread, and then I did English muffins at one point and chocolate chip cookies, and they were so good. So I'm just gonna wash this, and then so I washed the basil. Now I just have it in a paper towel. I'm just gonna kind of like pat it dry a little bit, because you don't want to bruise the basil. And I'll also teach you how you don't bruise it while you're cutting it. Okay, I think that's good enough, right? Okay, so I'm gonna throw that away. So let's grab like the biggest leaf of basil in the pile. It's this one, and then just keep layering them on like this. Here, I'll show you just a sec. So this keeps the basil from getting bruised. It doesn't, the bruises don't really affect the taste. It just doesn't look as good. And so I guess it's just way better to do it like this. And it's not even that much harder. And it's kind of more satisfying to chop it. And it looks way prettier the way that you chop it. Okay, so I have all of my basil leaves layered like this. Now I'm just gonna kind of like curl it up like this, and then grab my knife and just chop, and then afterwards we'll just give it a rough chop. There, okay, so I got a little bit like that. Now we're just gonna give it a quick rough chop. See, it helps it, I mean, there's still like like you can see all of the lines that I'm making while I'm cutting it, but they're not black, they're not bruised. It just helps a lot more to do it like this. All right, just gonna chop it up really fine, and I'll get back to you when I'm done. Okay, so I got my basil nice and finely chopped up. So now let's get to the pasta dough. So first, we're gonna do the well method. So we're just gonna dump the flour onto the countertop, and then make a little well using this measuring cup. So basically we're gonna crack our eggs in the well, and we don't want it to break, because then the eggs will just go everywhere. Now, it's very easy to break the well. I've done it many times myself. So I'm just creating the well, so hopefully it does not break. All right, so I have all of that lined up. So now I'm gonna do the salt. I'm gonna do the salt. It is, do a 1/4 teaspoon of salt in here. And after the salt, we're going to add all 3 eggs. Just yolk all, just the yolk and all. So I'll teach you sometime how to do a one-handed egg crack. It's not actually that hard. It's really easy, and it just makes it look so much cooler when you do a one-handed egg crack. And look, okay, the well didn't break yet. So now we are just gonna add our Mountain Town olive oil in Park City. You can just go visit it anytime. It is so good. And again, we're using the basil, and we need 2 teaspoons. This stuff is so good. Like, I mean it. It's amazing. All right, I'm gonna put that in. Oops, it smells really good. Now I can smell it all day. All right, so we have that all, right? Now we just wanna whisk up the eggs in the well without breaking it. And what we wanna do is, oh no, okay, I see some flour falling. It's very easy to break the well. Oh, before I forget, we need to add in our fresh basil, right? Yes, our fresh basil goes in. Again, you do not need to do all of the basil parts. You can just use regular olive oil, but I definitely recommend it. It smells amazing, looks amazing. So slowly, once our eggs are beaten up, we're just gonna start slowly bringing in the flour until we have like a thicker consistency that we can let it go and it will stay on your counter. So that's just what we're gonna keep doing, just bringing in the flour slowly, like so. It's very simple. So I'm gonna be rolling it out with my KitchenAid and the attachment, and we're gonna be fresh cutting it today since there's basil in it, and yeah. So I'll get back to you after the dough is ready. Okay, so just came out of the fridge from resting. Now we're just going to cut it into 4ths. Okay, to 4ths. We're just gonna keep one of them and then put the other 2 aside while we put that through. Okay, so the big KitchenAid. We are just going to flour up here. Trust me, it helps a lot. And flour down here as well. Now we're just gonna put it on the lowest setting. It's gone through the first level. Now we're just gonna fold it in half. It just makes it go way nicer in, and it gets all of the air bubbles out and just makes it way better. So just gonna the basil looks beautiful in here. It's just amazing. Just fold it in half, put it to the next setting, and just keep on going until you have it all nice and thin. Actually, if you want, you could do a shorter, or like a thicker dough if you want. You don't have to. I don't think I am today. Just not really in the mood for that. I just want like a thin, nice, easy, simple pasta. So we're just gonna fold it in half again and then go through. So now we're done with the folding. We're just gonna stop folding and just keep beating. Okay, so I finished beating this beautiful pasta dough through my attachment. Today we're gonna hand cut it just to make it even more unique, I guess. We're just gonna do nice, like kind of like fettuccine strips. I like to use a pizza cutter. It's just really easy. And we're just gonna cut off the ends so we get nice even strips. And don't worry, these won't be wasted. They'll be little snacks related. Just gonna put them aside. Just gonna put all the scraps aside. And I finished the other ones too. They're over to the side. I'm going to cut them later. Now, we want to get it nice and floured so it's easier to cut, because we're going to flip it on top of each other like so, just to make it a little bit easier. Just going to flour the top. The trick with pasta dough is just be very patient, because the first time I made homemade pasta, it was a pain in the butt and it was really hard. But now that I've done it more than a few times, it gets way easier, trust me guys. So if you do end up making this recipe at home, just know then keep trying to do it, and you will come out with the perfect pasta. I mean, eventually, after you've got it practice. Okay, so now we have these beautiful, thick things of pasta. It's absolutely beautiful. This is exactly what we wanted. Just gonna lay them out, and the water is boiling. Now we need to season it with a big, hearty pinch of salt. Maybe actually a couple. All right, our pasta's right here, ready to go in. So we don't need to cook it for very long. Just gonna put some in. You don't want them to stick together, so just gonna wait for a sec. And we have this parm. I would use fresh grated Parmesan cheese, but too bad, so sad. Anyway, we also do not have fresh garlic because we cannot go to the grocery store. So we have this garlic. So we are just going to improvise today and do that. So first, we are going to just get a nice slab of butter and put it in our pan. Just going to let that melt. This literally looks so amazing. Look at these noodles. You can see all of the green specks in them. I don't know if you can see it, but just look. It's beautiful. And since I did have some scraps, I've been munching on them. It's really good. Let's see how it tastes with all the buttery goodness, cheesy and garlicky. Let's see. Okay. So the butter's almost melted, so we're just going to toss in some of our pasta. I don't know, so I have gotten pasta from the store before. I've done it many times, and this stuff is so much better. It's so much better. Like, can you get fresh basil and homemade pasta there? I don't think so. And this stuff is just way more delicious as well. Just awesome. So just gonna cook this in here. We're gonna add some of this garlic. Don't be shy with it. It's okay. Garlic is the best. Just gonna, and we can put some nice hearty pinch of salt. And I put the salt over by the pasta. Okay, just a nice hearty pinch of salt. Don't want to over salt it. You don't want to under salt it. So that's perfect. Just gonna mix all of that in, and we'll add some Parmesan cheese. We're just doing nice and simple because the pasta is the star of the show, not the sauce, but you also just don't want to eat it plain, so this is perfect. Perfect contrast. So you can add some parm. Again, I would love to use fresh grated Parmesan cheese, but I can't. I really have no choice. So, just gonna stir that in. Okay, we have finished these noodles and they look amazing. I plated them up all nicely and put some more Parmesan cheese. They look so good. So let me try a bite. It's delicious. I mean, not to brag or anything, but this recipe is really good, and it's really good with the I love the basil and the butter, and this really is not dietary, but if you are going to splurge on something, this is definitely something to splurge on. I definitely recommend making this recipe. Comment down below, give it a thumbs up on this video, and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.